going to talk about data strategy, and we'll have time at the end for some Q&A. So a number of years ago, I was responsible for a data migration. And if anybody knows anything about data migration, they're not easy. It's Fortune 500, 1.2 billion pounds, and nobody cared about the data. Does that sound familiar? They were just interested in the tech. All it was get the tech in. We'll dump the data in and we'll worry about that later. Well, unfortunately, my team had to worry about that and spent over a year unpicking the mess. It's pretty much like that, a nice swamp if you could open the system. Well, some of the products we couldn't even find homes for, so we just discontinued them. Nobody actually found out, but hey, sometimes you have to do these things. So data is the lifeblood of every organisation, and I think Sun Tzu says it best. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. And in my experience, many organisations jump in with the, let's do master data management, let's do data mesh, let's do data products, and let's do AI, the big topic at the moment. But the question is, why? Why do we want to do all of this? And if you don't have a strategy, defining the direction, that North Star, understanding where you want to actually be with all these exciting tactical things, you're completely rudderless. You've got no North Star to go to or aim for. There's a survey recently that said that 2% of organisations have their data and their business strategy connected, and those that don't are more likely to fail on the transformation with AI than other companies. Let's increase that 2% and make it higher. So I'm Liz Henderson, non-exec director, board advisor, been in the data industry over 20 years. I empower organisations to unlock the value of their data by making it relatable at all levels, not just at the doing level, all levels where it's important. What I've been asked a lot recently is, who's doing data best? How can we copy people, or who can we copy that's out there doing the best with data? Well, do you want to be doing what everybody else is doing? You're all unique, aren't you? You're all from unique organisations, and you all have that competitive advantage to win your clients. So why do you want to be keeping up with the Joneses? They may be Google Analytics, Amazon, or even Screwfix, I've heard, is very good with data. But their back end is not always as good. I work with Amazon, and their back end was quite lumpy when I was providing product data, very manual focused. So don't judge the book by its cover and think everybody else is doing much better than you. It's the whole spectrum, whether you're here or whether you're there, doesn't matter. Everybody's along that spectrum of doing data. So don't think, oh, everybody else is doing it better than me, because they're not. Today I want to talk through a framework I've put together for creating a strategy. It's just 4 steps: fact finding, action, communication, and execution. Hopefully it's quite straightforward and we can follow it in this time we have here, which is quite a short of time. I talk about too many stories and anecdotes that I know, so I can take longer than the time, but I'll try and keep them to a minimum. So fact finding, I include 3 powerful questions. But before we get to those, let's take a look at what I see the connection between data and data and business strategy. So you've got your business strategy. How many people here have got a business strategy? And do you have it connected to your data strategy? Just a few of you. Your data strategy enables your business strategy to be delivered, be achieved. You've got all these great things in your business strategy, all these aims, objectives, strategic imperatives. How are you ever going to achieve those without your data strategy? Very unlikely. So you need to connect them. To connect your strategy and to achieve your strategy, you need to do all these things in what I call my management, governance, analytics or exploitation, architecture and culture. They're all the things that are needed to achieve your data strategy. And out pops the other side is the things you CEO usually wants: revenue, reduced risk, operational efficiencies. And if you achieve those, you're probably achieving your business strategy objectives as well. So it all comes together. But where do you start? This is an example of a business strategy, or a line from a business strategy from an organisation. And what do they want to achieve? Any offers of what they want to achieve? Anybody got any ideas? Actually, you've not got mics, so you can't respond to that. So they want quality and low prices. But to achieve quality and low prices, you need to understand your data. How do you know you're going to achieve low prices if you haven't got trusted data that you can use? So what I've put together is just a rough example of what you could be aiming for with your data strategy to achieve what that business strategy wants. So things like trust, efficiencies, AI automation. If you've not got those things, how are you ever going to achieve low prices? I worked in an organisation that were implementing an invoicing system. Their old invoicing system relied very much on the customer service team amending the names and addresses every time an invoice went out. Just imagine that cost, 9 million customers, and every invoice was double checked. All those hidden costs won't help you achieve your low cost prices. And sharing data and processes. We need to be sharing data. We don't want to think that somebody in that department is doing sales data and somebody else is doing sales data. And if they do that data differently, what are your real sales? How do you understand what your real sales are if you're not using the same data? Put your hand up if you've got processes documented in your organisation. I'm surprised there's more of you than I expected. Documenting your processes is really important, and that's the biggest hurdle I see with organisations when I talk to them. They don't have their processes documented, which means they have to spend time and money on consultants. Let's understand our processes before they can move forward. So that's a key thing as well. So how does that fit in with my Pentagon? Well, if you're going to achieve these things here, there are all these capabilities within the Pentagon, and you just need to pick out which ones you need to do to achieve your strategy, to ultimately achieve your business strategy aims. Simple, yeah? Maybe not. 3 powerful questions. These are the key questions I use when I'm talking to my clients. They talk about priorities, opportunities, and challenges. Now, we're all good at conversations, so they're not the only questions you ask. They're the opening questions for a conversation with the focus on the why. If that's your priority, why is that your priority? What's stopping you achieving that priority? And that's the kind of conversation to create lots of little information about what we're going to do. And we're going to bucket that information up into problem statements, because you've spoken to lots of people within the business. Maybe that's your execs, maybe that's your heads of, but most importantly, make sure you're talking to your frontline people and you're getting all this information. It might be a list on a spreadsheet, it might be a load of post-it notes. Put those together and you start to create your problem areas. They're in themes. Now you can do that in a workshop, or you can do that on your own. I created a data strategy for an organisation in 1 month. And I've had people say, oh, I can't do that, at least 3 to 6 months. Well, no. You need to be doing it effectively, efficiently, and with pace. The company is waiting for you to deliver your strategy so it can start enabling it and achieving results. So collect all your information from your business, put it into your themes or your problem areas. Then take it one step further and put it into focus areas. And if we take the middle one, for example, and that's from a company I worked with that achieved 40% saving by reducing the inaccuracies within their product data. We put some audit processes together, we documented the processes, and we could justify to the regulator that we actually were using actual physical information rather than estimates. So we stopped paying the premium. But that's all about increased efficiency of operations. So if you've got your focus areas of what you want to achieve to solve your problems, you're moving forward to create your strategy. Next step is the action. We know what we want to achieve, we know the problems, what are the action steps that we need to create? So we start making a plan. So remember all the hexagons inside the Pentagon? Well, this is just a list of them. People like this slide. Now, there may not be everything on there. I update it on a regular basis, recently observability, Gen AI, all those other bits and pieces. And there may be other things people want to add. The question is, if you're delivering those different capabilities, which of these capabilities in these components do you actually need to deliver? One, two, all of them? Well, I think it's more of what you don't need to deliver. You can't do data governance and roles and responsibilities without having quality data. And you can't do quality data without having an organisation operating model and understanding your ethics and sharing your data. There is many, many things here that connect together. If you think of data like a clock, it's all these cogs inside the clock, it works together. A clock doesn't work without all the cogs working together, does it? No? You're very quiet. It's at the end of the day and you just kind of want to go home. So if we go back to our problem statement, this is where we keep it simple. I've just put management and exploitation of the key things you want to deliver to achieve your increased operations. Now, you could put all 5 of those components there, but I think your exec team might have a bit of a fit saying, we can't do all of this, it's too big. So just keep it simple for the key things you can deliver. Yeah, you can go and do the rest, but prioritise what the first things are you need to do. From the back of the room, Fred said, we have a 3-metre sized lemon. And it's a true story from a retailer that I worked with a few years ago. It transpired that they did have a 3-metre sized lemon in the system. And the logistics manager was losing his mind. He'd got trucks going out to his stores with these 2 little lemons on the back of the truck, and that's it. The system thought they were 2 ginormous lemons. They were thinking, I can't fit any more stock on this lorry because there's 2 big lemons on it, and that's it. Well, nobody thought it was a data issue. They were losing sales because there wasn't enough lemons getting into the store. When you all go in after this event for your gin and tonic and your lemon, there is no lemons for you to buy. So the store was losing sales. The stock was getting left in the warehouse, going mouldy because it wasn't making its way to the stores. All sorts of challenges, purely down to the decimal point being in the wrong place when they do the conversion when the stock's arriving. Such a simple issue creates such widespread problems throughout the organisation. The way to tackle that is when you find out about these issues, and hopefully when you're using your 3 powerful questions, you start to hear about these issues. Now, they won't necessarily be popping up as it's a data issue. So I use backwards Dave. Dave is data, action, value, explore. But we use it backwards. We start with explore, we use value, action and data. So with our lemons, we explore. We talk to logistics, we talk to finance, we talk to forecasting and the picking team, understand what's going on, explore the issue. Where's the challenge? What's the problem? We understand the value. Who's impacted? Customers, logistics, wasting space on lorries going out with 2 little lemons. From that, we can create an action plan. And from that, we can go and amend our data. Problem solved. Simple. It's just a framework to work within. So if we go back to our quality fashion organisation, what does quality mean? If you have high quality versus low quality, does anybody care? Does it matter? Ask the business. Again, explore, understand, try and identify what the challenge is, what the opportunity is. Where's the value? If we do go a bit better on the quality, do we create more value for our customers? Maybe, maybe not. After that, you create your actions, and most importantly, communication. You have to communicate what's going on to the business. And then correct the data. It may not be a data issue, but at least if you look at the data and say, no problem. So working with Dave backwards is that nice framework to understand and manage your issues and rectify them. Communication, a really big thing. I was at a conference earlier on in the week and the keynote speaker was talking about people are key, and I always talk about people first. Without people, you've got nothing. You can put the best systems in the world, but if your people don't use them, do you really have those good systems? I worked for an organisation early part of my career and I knew there was a transformation going on. And one day my manager came and handed all of us these lovely red binders, beautiful red binders, really well laid out. A lot of money had been spent putting them together. We looked at them like, what's this? And we're talking chunky binders. I don't have time to look at that. Oh, these are your new ways of working. You need to study this, and this is how you'll do things going forward. Do you know what? We just opened the cupboard, put them in the cupboard, and shut the door. We never looked at them. Well, a short while later, the company went bust. We lost our jobs. Now, we'll never know to this day whether it was because we ignored those new processes. But nobody told me why I had to learn those processes. Nobody spent the time communicating to me. If you don't have that adoption, do you really have success? So your people are really, really important. Another organisation I've worked with, big utilities organisation, they were implementing data mesh. I put on the proposal, data mesh, all the tech stuff, and change management with a bit of data literacy involved. The CDO just struck out the people, change, literacy side, said, we'll just do the tech. Build it and they will come. Well, they didn't. A year later, after we've implemented it, he came back to me and said, do you know that change piece? Have you got somebody that can help us? I've still got somebody in there to this day, still earning the company I work for money, because it's much harder to do the change piece after the event. It's like pushing water uphill. It's really difficult to get people on board when you've already created the system. So always think about your people. And communication and helping your people understand is really important as well. I showed you the Pentagon. This is the Pentagon broken down into different elements we need to deliver in the business. It's just a communication tool, just helps people understand. So for example, I use communications and celebrations a lot. I bribe people with chocolate. We all love chocolate, right? If you want somebody to do something, you give them a box of chocolates. I used to invite people who were doing really good stuff with data along to the data governance meeting to talk about it and share their successes and what they were doing. And I used to give them a box of chocolates, just a £3 or £4 box of celebrations. Gets them excited, they're happy to do it, and their colleagues see that, and their colleagues then want to come along to the meeting. Can we get some chocolate? Or you can use an Amazon voucher, or whatever you think is appropriate. You can also use this for measuring progress. So you could colour the boxes halfway across, quarter of the way across. It's actually quite difficult to do that. So what I use is that. Just another simple way, all those boxes listed down the left-hand side, but it shows progress across the page. So if your execs are saying, what have you done this year? What have you done the last 6 months? Show them that. You can really clearly see you started from a low level and you've started delivering extra stuff. These are just communication tools to help your business. Anybody familiar with the one-page strategy? Yeah, not many people. I like it. Comes from Gartner and I know a few other places. Again, it's just a communications tool. I created one for an organisation I've recently worked at, and one day I went into the CFO's office, found it on the wall. I said, oh, nice to see that on the wall. He says, yeah, it's great. I can just glance at it and know where we're going, know what we're doing, know what I need to think about. These are all just ways of helping you understand what the business is doing, get people on board and get their support. I created just this very simple one for our quality, fashion, low price organisation. Just taking key elements. We want trusted shared data. We want customers at the heart of what we're doing. Sustainability, really important for everybody. And then the capabilities of our people being confident with the data they have so they can be curious. An organisation I worked for and I was launching a global transformation, we went round and we launched the solution to each of the local teams. The people on the front line had the best ideas, and without their ideas, it would not have been successful. So always think about your people and talk to your people. Execution, the last step of the process. Hopefully I'm on time. So talk to you a lot about what I do, how I do this, but how do we pull it all together? So down the left, we've got the focus areas. Remember we had a problem statement, so we distilled those into the focus areas. Then we've got some phases. What we're trying to do now is prove that we know what we're doing and prove to our exec team that this is going to have legs, it's going to work, it's going to be successful. And you often find in those first 6 months, well, what have you done? What have you delivered? I liken it to throwing a pebble into a pond. What's that first ripple that you can work on to generate value, generate enthusiasm, bring people along, get them on that bus to then help you get more money, funding, etc. to progress with your ideas. Then you've got the chunky development in the centre where you're really going to spend a lot more money and do a lot more things with the work. And then shooting for the moon. Well, the world of data is speeding up. It used to be 4 years before the exciting things came out. Now it's about 18 months, and I'm sure that's going to condense even more. So you might want to play around with this and put some really random things on there, like having a data center on the moon, and you can test your execs, see if they read it. Put some stuff in there that is really shooting for the moon, and if they ask questions, oh, great to see you've read that. How do you think this question, how do you think likely it is? Or if they don't mention it, you know they've not actually read it. Maybe even Teletubbies doing our data entry. So how do you connect it all together? So you can either do top down, bottom up. This is top down example. So you've got your business goals, a few elements of business activity we want to achieve, goes down into your vision. Remember the vision I created? Just a high level communication tool. Below that, we've got our focus areas. Below that, you've got your phases, your project plan, and all the detail that's needed. Or you can do top, bottom up. From the detail into the focus areas, the vision to deliver your business. Now, depends on what type of organisation you work for, depends on what they like. You might choose one method, you might choose the other, you might put both in. It's knowing your audience. And when I've presented this before, I've put in a stakeholder slide because it's really important to understand your stakeholders and their communication methods and what they prefer. So this is the kind of thing that once you understand how your execs want to be communicated to, you can start to decide how you're going to present your strategy. Now, we don't want a 200-page huge book that's going to sit on the shelf, a bit like my red binders, sit on the shelf and they're just going to be lost, nobody looks at them. We want a short, punchy handful of slides in their data strategy. The title is really important. Don't call your data strategy a data strategy. That's the most boringest title in the world. How about our new world of data, or how we're going to get more customers on board, or how we're going to enable this, or revolutionizing the way an organization works? Use ChatGPT. Come up with some engaging words and engaging title. Data's all about marketing. That's all data is. It's marketing. It's bringing people on board with what you need to do to get their support so you're successful. Then you're connecting your strategies. Remember the top down, bottom up. Gathering your insights, the 3 questions, the problem statement, what are the problems we need to resolve, the vision, the mission, the one-pager. Then we have the plan, the next steps, showing this exec team, this is what we're going to do. Fred's going to deliver this in the next 2 weeks. Sarah's going to do this in the next month. It's proving you know what you're doing and explaining that and showing that to the exec team to get their support. Then there's a load of other bits and pieces that you can put in the back. Depends on what your organisation wants. So there we have it. 4 steps to create your strategy. I've put in a bit of a Superman triangle. Fact-finding, action, communication and execution. The most important thing is remembering your people. Thank you for your time. Do we have any questions?
Hello, Liz.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a question. just about the two last slide. I think that you've put on first, so just before to get to the vision, we have problem statement and other stuff before the vision. But actually, I don't know. I'm giving you what I've learned from the school is that we start by the vision, and then you make kind of mission that will be related. Then you build the strategy, like from that vision. Where we want to go first, and then how are we going is the strategy. But here it seems different. That's my first question. And the second one is related to the business. Like you said that we build the strategy, the data strategy should come from the business strategy. Okay, so if the vision and the business strategy is already built, so do we really need to have a data vision in that case? So that's my two questions.
Okay, there's a lot there. I'll try and unpack that. I always come with fresh perspectives. Just because somebody's doing it one way, I will always pick that apart from my 20 odd years of experience to understand whether that's the right way to do it or not. How do you start from a vision if you don't know what your problems are? The amount of times I go into organisations and I'm going to take that off, and they say they don't have a strategy, or they say they've got a strategy, and I say, can I see it? And you actually realise they don't have a strategy. So how do you ever create a vision if you don't know what your problems are and you don't know where you're aiming? Again, what's that North Star? Where do you want to be? Without focus on tactics, you need to focus on the strategy and where's your end result. And the other question was, oh, the business and the connection between the two. Well, ultimately, if you had a business strategy that included data, that's the ultimate goal. You don't need a separate data strategy then. Very few companies actually include the data elements within their business strategy. Now, if we can move companies to doing that, that'll be a lot more successful. At the moment, we have analytics strategy, data strategy, AI strategy, and strategies for digital and God knows what else. Why don't we just put it all in our business strategy so we know we want to achieve X, and that's going to take this, this, and this, and that forms part of your direction for what you want to do with analytics and data, etc. But I think we've got a long way to go before we get to that point. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
My question is around noise. So you have a session, you come up with a beautiful data strategy, and as soon as you start implementing, things come out of the woodworks that have nothing to do with the strategy. So how do you balance that? Because the customers, which is usually business, are the people that will come out of the woodworks with, oh, but we need this, but we need that, but we need this, which is sort of pulling you in various directions away from your strategy. So how do you sort of stick to your strategy without sort of alienating yourself from the business?
Okay, good question, because I know that happens a lot, and it's all down to prioritization. With those three key questions, or those three powerful questions, hopefully the business feel like they've been listened to. And that's the most important thing. Not just going off and doing something, but helping other people feel like they've been part of it. And maybe even when you do your problem statements, you might do a detailed one with the names of people and the names of names of people next to the statements they've provided. Oh, she really did take notice of what I said and listen to me, and this is part of this. And when you do your plan and your phases, you then prioritise what the needs are for the business and say, yes, I know that's coming in from left field, but this is where we're going and this has been agreed. And you may have to go back to your exec team and say, do we do this? Do we do that? You tell me as a business what you want me to focus on, because they won't give you funding for both. Well, they might if you're lucky, but unlikely. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. And you know where I am if you've got any questions. Thank you.